Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. They're the managing partners there, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Also joining us from the Morehead City office, Cassandra Nicholas, an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer. Offices conveniently located around the state: Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and as we mentioned, Morehead City, where Cassandra is joining us. If you've got a legal situation, you can always call the firm and get your questions answered. 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about. An attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. You can always email us your questions to the show, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. We're going to question and answer coming up later on the program. We'll answer your questions on a future program. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate, and away we go. And I think we're stopping with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, we're going to get there, Morgan. But first, I'm going to finish up. We were talking about roundhouse kicks going into break there.
I saw you stretching during the break.
Yeah, I was getting ready. But Cassandra, you ever roundhouse kicked anybody?
Not in a while.
You gonna ask me? You ask me?
Yeah, when was your last time, Joe?
I have roundhouse kicked several people. When I was like, I think I was like 6 or 7. I did the taekwondo.
Oh, yeah?
Got some good videos, man. That was my thing, the roundhouse kick. If you want to watch them sometime,
I'll come over.
We do.
Yeah, we can get
those
together.
on
I was very
the
effective.
Outlaw Lawyer YouTube page.
I was very
a
effective,
nice little
man.
feature.
I took judo growing up, so it wasn't a lot
Pretty
of
awesome too.
Yeah, it wasn't
man.
a lot of.
That sounds awesome. You remember
Just
any of it?
regular wrestling.
You're not going to use your judo when you get stabbed. You're just going to straight to roundhouse kick.
Well, if I get stabbed in the back, I don't know how effective the judo is. If you get stabbed from the front,
if you get stabbed in the back, I don't know how effective anything is.
just kind
I think you're just getting stabbed in that case, brother.
I always forget Cassandra has a wrestling background. I always forget
Really?
that. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I think she's
Seriously?
No way.
Yeah.
Like WWE?
Yeah, pro wrestling or wrestling?
Let her tell you what her experience is.
Like public school wrestling.
I'm changing our next segment is
Go ahead.
this. Were you like a prolific wrestler? North Dakota, the wrestling's big up there, right?
Yeah, but once it got to like high school level, I dropped out.
What was your
like,
record? What was your record?
Oh, wow.
I have no idea.
Getting personal.
It was good.
You were wrestling like you're wrestling everybody, right? You're wrestling.
Yeah, it was co-ed.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I think an ad campaign for the Morehead City office, Cassandra
It's
Nicholas.
just her in a singlet.
The
In my
grappler.
singlet.
Yeah.
The grappler.
Let me headlock the competition.
That's right.
Some headgear.
I'll dig that, man.
All right, next up, we've got a U.S. Supreme Court case that's set for oral arguments this week. I don't think they've started yet. I think it starts this week. We're always in studio on Wednesday morning, so we're about halfway through the week. I don't think they've begun, but there is a case. We've got I would say an elderly lady. It was a lady, I think she was in her late 80s, early 90s. She had a condo in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and she moved into a what do you call, like a retirement?
Assisted living.
Yeah, like an assisted living. And when she did that, for whatever reason, we're not privy to it, but she stopped paying her taxes, right? So I guess she owned her condo free and clear. There's no mortgage or anything. Her only lien was the annual property tax bill that no one really looks forward to getting. And she didn't pay it for 5 years. And turns out in Minneapolis, there's I don't know if it's a law or an ordinance or whatever, but anyway, there's some governing law that says after 5 years, the city or whoever can foreclose on you and sell the residence at public auction, and they can use whatever money they need to satisfy what they're actually owed. But the twist here, that's the same thing that can happen in North Carolina. It doesn't have to be 5 years. But the twist here is in Minneapolis, whatever equity you have in the property after the sale. So they've been made whole. They've paid all your back taxes, all the cost fees of the sale, and they still have money. That money is supposed to go to the person who owned the property in North Carolina. In Minneapolis, the state, county, whatever, takes it and uses it, gives it to the schools, gives it to whatever public use they deem worthy. And so this lady, probably buying through her, power of attorney or kids or whatever, said, hey, you can't keep it. They owed her 25, 30 grand of money. And so now it's gone all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm interested to see what the Supreme Court does here. I feel that's kind of I'm never a pro-tax guy. As we were talking about taxes
earlier. Speak for yourself, man.
I know Joseph is.
Love it. I love it.
I remember growing up, and not really understanding, that's the good thing about being a kid, right? You don't have to understand taxes. But I came from a family where my dad was self-employed. And so self-employment taxes, I always knew about those. And I remember every year property taxes would go up, and it's always, the way they phrase it is like a penny per $100 of tax value or whatever. And it sounds so small. And I remember my dad getting like not real mad, but like annoyed, right? And I was like, hey, taxes are going up again. I was like, it's only a penny per 100, whatever. And
now you're your dad.
Yeah. Now I'm like shaking my fist in the air because taxes never go down.
They don't.
They never go down. They only go up. Usually.
There's a TikTok I saw this week of a family playing Monopoly, and a 10-year-old boy is just like bawling, and his mom is asking him why. And he says, it's because of the taxes.
The taxes. The taxes will get you, man. At the firm, we always know when real property tax bills come out. They're always in July or August, but we know when those bills come out because people call us and let us know they got a property tax bill. But anyway, so, in North Carolina, we're all, me and Joe and Cassandra, we're all North Carolina attorneys here in North Carolina. Certainly, you get behind on your property tax. That's something the county can do down here, is they can foreclose on you and sell the property at auction. But any excess money has to go back to you. And there's a way that happens. There's a surplus funds action. And that happens if a lender, your mortgage lender, forecloses on you and sells at auction and there's extra money, that's supposed to go back to you. But we'll see what the U.S. Supreme Court thinks about this. It's a seizure, right? This is a constitutional issue, a seizure issue. So we're supposed to be protected from unlawful seizures in theory.
Yeah, the arguments are interesting. Apparently there are 13 states in addition to Minnesota that allow this full seizure where they keep the excess. In this case, just to give some more context, she owed $15,000 in property taxes, and they ended up auctioning her condo for $40,000. So they kept $25,000 extra. But the county's argument, I don't know how. It'll be interesting to see the numbers. They said, far from a windfall, this tax forfeiture doesn't break even.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Just in legal fees?
Yeah, because in North Carolina, you can get, I don't know about the county on a tax foreclosure, but I don't see, I really don't see that argument at all. I'm usually pro individual, right? I'm usually pro any constitutional right that we have and believe those need to be fiercely defended because once they're gone, you don't get them back. But yeah, I don't understand that either. I think I read the same thing, Cassandra, and I don't get the reasoning there. I don't get that rationale.
They're going to have to back that up in oral arguments with real numbers. Like, how does this not break even? How can you justify just taking this 94-year-old's $25,000?
It's about time we had a heartwarming story, man. One about the government getting more of our money.
I feel like these,
for school children.
Yeah.
I'm less enthusiastic.
I feel like the government officials in Minneapolis are like the old school bad guy with like a top hat and a big long twirly mustache. And they're just sitting there twirling their mustaches, waiting to get up before the Supreme Court.
Yep.
The other part of their argument is really this is the wrong context, but victim blaming against this elderly woman, saying that she refused her other option to recoup the equity. She refused to sell it, refinance it, or sign up for a 10-year tax payment plan. She was already in assisted living, late 80s when this happened. Did she refuse or not have the resources to pursue those options?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I doubt she just refused. I doubt she just refused. No, take my property. Mm-hmm. But it'll be a good test case because in North Carolina, I think people would not. I would hope we have a kind of a different mentality than some of the states where that is legal. But I know here we have people who will call up and they'll make a will and they really don't have anybody to leave stuff to, but they just want to make sure it doesn't go to the government, right? They're like, I don't want it to go to the government. I don't care who it goes to as long as it's not the government, But we got a little different mentality down here about stuff like that. But Anyway, oral arguments, we'll revisit that one, especially if something interesting comes out or we get more facts or we figure out something else.
All right, tax forfeiture, Supreme Court. We just got through with that. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, along with Cassandra Nicholas, also an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer. You are listening to the Outlaw Lawyers. Again, want to remind you that Josh and Joe are the managing partners of the firm, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina, and conveniently located offices in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and Morehead City. If you have a legal situation and you've got questions and you need answers, here's a phone number for you, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what that call is about. An attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And you can always email your questions to the show. Matter of fact, we're going to get to some listener questions coming up on the other side, just some legal questions to throw at the attorneys. And you can do that yourself by emailing us questions at theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back right after this.